Hello, my name is Aaliyah Johnson, Community Impact Director for the American Heart Association in the Greater Charlotte market. Welcome to the Empowered to Serve health classes, where we hope that you gain knowledge so that you can reduce your risk for cardiovascular disease. We hope that you will take this information that you learned and empower others so that we can all live longer, healthier lives. Thank you and enjoy these classes.
Well, thank you so much, Aaliyah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to all of our Tabernacle family and friends of the Tabernacle. As you heard Aaliyah welcome us, I am so excited that this is the start of our 2022 Empowered to Serve health lessons. So again, on behalf of Tabernacle of Praise Worship Center and the Tab Health and Wellness Ministry, I welcome you. I am so glad that you have taken this time to join us. If you haven't already, since we're at the top of this particular broadcast, please take this opportunity now to share. Grab your phone, your tablet, whatever device that you might be watching on or you have nearby. Take the opportunity to share this information. You heard her say it. We want to gain knowledge, and once we gain that knowledge, we ourselves will be able to reduce risk, and then we'll be able to empower the next one. So I'll give you just a brief opportunity to do that while I put up our welcome screen. So again, as you're coming in, make sure that you share. Go ahead, tag those people that can benefit from our presentation from the Health and Wellness Ministry. Now, as you can see, we are so glad that you are here with us. I personally am so excited at this partnership that we are in yet again with the American Heart Association and Amgen Cardiology. So thank you so much for being partners in our health. Well, this is a time in which we are going to see one another very often for the coming year. We are going to be presenting monthly health lessons that we are going to carry out those principles. We are going to work the work. We're not just going to talk the talk, but we're going to walk the walk. So we're going to need you to be active in our Tab Health and Wellness community. All of the principles that we learn in this lesson, we're going to be supporting them throughout the weeks and the month to come. So with that being said, I would love to just open in a brief word of prayer, and then we're going to get some particulars out the way and get started with this great information. So if you would, where you are, go ahead and take the posture of prayer. Blessed Father, I just want to say thank you. I thank you for this day that you have given us. We recognize it for the gift that it truly is. I thank you for the way that you have kept us throughout the day, through dangers seen and unseen. And now, Father, we are intentional in our efforts and in our actions. We are coming so that we might do everything within our power to govern these temples accordingly, to be good stewards over these bodies that you have given us. So, Father, I thank you, God, for the principles that will be shared and discussed on today, and that we would do diligence in applying them, that we would be your effective ministers throughout the earth. It's in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that we do pray, and the people of God do say, amen. All right. I am so thankful that you were willing to join me in that word of prayer so that we can go ahead and get started with all of this great information. However, we do have some housekeeping that we have to take care of first. So if you would, let me go ahead, get our next slide to fire. we are going to be presenting a monthly health lesson. And what we need you to do, if you haven't already done so in our opening reel, I need you to go ahead and get this 1 minute pre-survey out of the way. The way this is going to work is before we present any information, we will take a pre-survey. Then once the information has been shared, then we will take a post-survey. So again, I'm going to need you to take out your phone, your device, whatever device that you have. I need you to scan that QR code. So if you're not familiar with this step, you're going to take your phone out, turn on the camera, put the QR code in your device's viewfinder, and then it will prompt you to open up the link in the browser. It will take you to that survey. You'll go ahead and get that completed. I promise you, 1 minute, and then we'll keep this party rolling, okay? Thank you so much for obliging us in that. So as I've already repeated, we're going to be in these health sessions monthly. You can always count on that pre-survey, that post-survey. In between the information that we'll be sharing, we'll have different activities, we'll have guests at various times, and then we will support these items throughout the month. So with that being said, today's lesson is all about blood pressure. We are getting ready for February, which is Heart Month, and we are kicking off this first health lesson on the topic of control your pressure. So I've already prefaced this by letting you know that sometimes we're going to do some activities before we get into the meat of things. So if you would indulge me, we're going to begin with a mental scavenger hunt. All right, so I know we're in the evening time. Some of you might be getting your children settled, sitting with your loved ones for the evening meal. So this will be a mental scavenger hunt. I promise you, you don't have to leave your seat. However, I want you to take a mental inventory. I am going to give you 3 items. And if you happen to have each of the items as I present it, I need you to type on the screen, got it, okay? Easy peasy. Item number 1. All right. And we'll make it a little bit easier, okay? Let's stop this so you can see all of the items. Fair square? First item is a blood pressure monitor, okay? If you have it, if you are in possession of one of these, type got it. Item number 2. And this is no type of brand sponsorship. We're going to talk about that second item. But item number 2, plain old regular salt, table salt. If you've got the sea salt, if you've got the pink Himalayan, the item in and of itself is salt. So if you've got it, type got it on the screen. Last item, item number 3. All right, water, hydration, all right, because hydration matters. I want you, if you've gone ahead and done that mental inventory, for those of you that said that you had certain items, if you've got them, if you don't mind sharing, if we can share, would you let me know where those items are? So, that salt, typically, you might not have it beside of you as you're sitting in your living room. It might be found in the kitchen, on the table, in the pantry. All right, so those items, if you've got it, just share with us on the screen where those items are located. I promise you it's all gonna tie together if you just give me a minute. All right, so we are in the topic of controlling our blood pressure. So we finished our scavenger hunt. So let's share a little bit of information. Fair enough? This slide right here, it says first and foremost, if you have high blood pressure, you're not alone. All right, so you're not an island unto yourself. But let's look at this portion that is highlighted in red. It says nearly half of all American adults have high blood pressure. Many don't even know that they have it. So of all of the American adults, nearly half of them, and by this space and time, we're in 2022 now, so nearly half, we can just go ahead, round up and say half. About half of us, half of our adults have high blood pressure, but many don't know that they have it. But then underneath that it says the best way to know if you have high blood pressure is to get your pressure checked. So we could go to the doctor. We could have one of these that many of us have in our homes. We could go to the pharmacy. All right. Knowledge. Urgent community need. Now, we already said that half of the adults have it. Many of those don't even know. Let's look at these figures because they're staggering. All right, if we look at our African American community, it says over 1 and 2. All right, so more than half of African Americans. In the Asian population, we're looking at over 1 in 10. The Hispanic population, over 1 in 3. And our Native American or the Alaska Natives, over 1 in 4. So if we look at the numbers again, we have all of our American adults. Half of those people have high blood pressure. Many don't know that they have it. And then we could say half of those have, because the caption at the bottom, it says nearly half of the people with high blood pressure do not have it under control. So those are 3 sobering things to note, that half of us have it, many of us don't know that we have it, and then half of the half don't have it under control. Well, let's take a look and get a better understanding. Because we'll say, oh, well, how's your blood pressure? You have high blood? Yeah, I got a little high blood pressure. What is blood pressure? When our heart beats. Okay, so when our heart beats, it's pumping blood into our vessels. So the pressure that is being exerted against the vessel walls, that is what we're talking about. That is the pressure. And it says the blood pressure, this force, this blood pressure causes our blood to flow to all the parts of our body. So every one of us, we all have blood pressure. However, we're going to be talking specifically about that high blood pressure category and how to manage it. So we must first understand that high blood pressure is when your blood pressure is consistently too high. So it's not just a one and done. We go to the doctor and it's high today. It's consistently high over time. So let's take a look at what the numbers mean. So all of us, since we all have blood pressure, our blood pressure reading is recorded in 2 numbers. All right, so that's That's the universal trend of it. When we see those two numbers, when we say so and so over such and such, we all know that we're talking about blood pressure. So what do they mean? That top number, as you can see on the screen, that's the systolic pressure. All right, top number, that indicates how much pressure our blood is exerting against those artery walls when the heart beats. That bottom number, the diastolic pressure, that number indicates the pressure that our blood is exerting against those artery walls while the heart is resting. So the top number is an indication while the heart is beating, when the heart is beating. The bottom number is captured or timed when the heart is resting in between beats. Top is beats, the bottom is the rest. So in this picture, in this illustration, we see that this individual has a blood pressure of 110/67. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about what those numbers mean. As you look at this chart, we have 5 categories that pretty much, as far as the American Heart Association is concerned, these are the 5 ranges that we need to pay particular attention to and see where our cells fall. So that normal level, if you have what is considered to be blood pressure that falls within the normal range, your top number is less than 120 and the bottom number is less than 80. All right, that's normal. That's the baseline. Okay, so the second range, that second range is the elevated range. So this is meaning that your top number is falling anywhere between 120 and 129. Your bottom number is still less than that 80 mark. Well, let's start looking at what the numbers mean when we are diagnosed as having high blood pressure. So the third level is that stage 1, hypertension stage 1. That is meaning your top number is falling between that 130, 139 range. Bottom number, you're between 80, 89. That's stage 1. High blood pressure stage 2, hypertension stage 2, your top number, you're at 140 or higher. The bottom number is 90 or higher. And then, God forbid, that last range, the hypertensive crisis. This is when that top number is higher than 180 and or that bottom number is higher than 120. So if we are seeing any numbers in any of those places, you need to consult medical care immediately. You need to get in touch with your doctor immediately. Well, why is it important for us to know our numbers? Well, the whole point of us coming together in this setting is so that we can gain knowledge. And in gaining that knowledge, our goal is to help reduce the risk. So the points that we need to discuss tonight, wherever we find ourselves in these ranges, is we need to be at a place where we're either preventing that high blood pressure from happening or managing that high blood pressure if that's the range that we find ourselves in. So for those of you that are falling in that first range, which was the normal category, where your top number is less than 120 and less than 80 on the bottom, what do I need you to do? Prevention is the name of the game. You want to make sure that you are getting screened. Your blood pressure is being tested at least once per year. These are for my 20-year-olds and up. You hit that mark, I need you at least once per year. Now, it might not be necessary for you to, break this out every day if you are not identified in the high blood pressure range. But it is vitally important that you work on preventing the onset of high blood pressure. Well, for those that are diagnosed with high blood pressure that is higher than that 130 over 80, all right, here's what we need to consider, because you're in the stage of management. We need to work on our management skills. I want us to take a moment to really pay attention to some wording that is on this slide. So if you are in that high blood pressure category, first of all, I'm needing you to do this. Secondly, your family, your loved ones are needing you to do this. And then lastly, your community is needing you to do this. So let's take a look at what it recommends that we do. It says monitor your blood pressure numbers at home in addition to your regular visits. All right, so that lets me to know that just relying on your time to go to the doctor or your time to go to the urgent care is enough. So if you fall in that category of having high blood pressure, I need you to monitor those numbers at home. Again, I need you to do that. Please and thank you. Your family, your loved ones need you to do that. Please and thank you. And also the community, your community at large, your circle of influence, we need you. We need you to do that as well. Well, it's that second bullet point that I want to really examine and challenge you in. It says, following a treatment plan that includes lifestyle changes and, if needed, prescription medication. Now, I need us to pause just briefly right here. Because if you would notice, it says a treatment plan that includes lifestyle changes. Notice it mentions lifestyle change first and then medications. So why is it? Somebody tell me. I would love to see it in the comments. Somebody tell me then. Why is it that more times than not, we do medicine first and then the lifestyle change? Do we ever get around to that? I'm just asking. You let me know. This is a conversation. You let me know. The recommendation is following a treatment plan that lists changing our lifestyles first and then if needed. So when I see that word if, I understand that medication might not be needed in every situation, but simple lifestyle changes can bring about a change. Remember, I'm asking because I need you to do it. Your loved ones, they need you to do it. And our community needs you to do it. Understand, point number 2, that having high blood pressure can hurt your body. Now, I think all too often unfortunately, we believe that since there are no obvious symptoms of having high blood pressure, that we kind of brush it off to the side. But the fact of the matter is, when high blood pressure is left untreated, you can see it there for yourself on the screen. When it's left untreated, it's causing damage to our circulatory system. And in that, it is such a contributing factor to heart attack, to stroke, and other health threats. Having high blood pressure can hurt your body. Might not be any obvious physical sign or show of symptoms, but there's damage being done. So we've got to make some changes. We've got to make some changes. Take a look at a few of these consequences, and you're able to see them. It mentions stroke and vision loss. When I look at this particular graphic, and I know depending on what stage in life that we're in, age-wise, even though things can happen to any of us at any age and any stage in life, but a lot of us are like, I'm 21, I'm not thinking about stroke. Oh, I'm 30, whatever, I'm not thinking about. Well, even though these are true consequences of high blood pressure, stroke, vision loss, heart attack, heart failure, kidney disease or failure, sexual dysfunction, all of these are consequences of high blood pressure. But even if you can't name them one by one or commit them to memory, I want you to get 3 words in your head: quality of life. That's something all of us can think of. So we might not be able to name all of these health consequences, but aren't you able to easily digest and easily understand that having high blood pressure is taking a toll on my body and it can affect my quality of life? It's sobering. It's something to consider. Well, let's look at the next slide. As I'm putting it up, know that we're welcoming your comments on both the Facebook and the YouTube side. Although I'm not able to respond, I do have some help behind the scenes. So we are looking for your comments. We love to see and hear your input. So what is all of this speaking to you right now? How is this resonating for you in your personal health journey? And how is it resonating with you as someone that might be diagnosed with high blood pressure? Even if we ourselves are not, can't we all raise our hand that we know someone or know of someone that has high blood pressure? All right, let's go a little bit deeper. So we've already looked at our numbers, and we have to understand the risk. So the hypertension stage 1, all right, so that's when your top number is between 130, 139, and the bottom number, the diastolic reading, is between 80 and 89. All right, so it is likely, all right, look at the test. It is likely that at this stage, your healthcare provider is prescribing lifestyle changes and may consider adding some medication, okay? Now, when we get to level 2, this is where we're at around 140, over 90, or higher. Your healthcare professional at this stage has probably devised a plan to where you could be on a combination of medications, but I guarantee that he or she is also still making lifestyle changes as a recommendation to improve your health. We can't get around the need for a lifestyle change. Now I'm going to put this next one up, and I want to start off first with a very common, popular prayer. If you know it, I'd like to see the commentary. But there is a very famous prayer that goes like this: God, grant me the, I'm sure some of you are probably typing it before I get to say it, It's all right. You can do it along with me. But it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Somebody say, read it on your screen, non-modifiable. Okay. So Lord, help grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Well, let's talk about this. The things that we can't change, these non-modifiable risk factors, and then we'll progress to the next slide and look at some things that we can change. Well, let's go through the list. So the bottom line is some of these factors and variables are just going to put some of us at greater risk than others. So there are some things that are out of our control. All right, so let's discuss those because I don't want anybody to beat themselves up about it. Again, the things that we cannot change, we just have to accept. All right, so the first thing that we cannot change is our family history. If our parents or other close blood relatives, if they have high blood pressure, then there's an increased chance. All right, not saying that you will or you do, but there is an increased chance. The second item, age. We can't change that as long as we keep on living. Guess what? We're going to age. So the older you are, the more likely you are to get high blood pressure. Again, nothing we can do about it. It's okay. Let's take a look. Next one on your screen. It lists male gender. Well, the research, the studies show that until the age of 64, men are more likely to get high blood pressure than women are. For women, it starts like at age 65 and up. Women are then at that point more likely to get high blood pressure. So again, we can't change it, but it's okay. All right. Next item you see up there is race. So we've already talked about that urgent community needs slide. So we talked about African Americans over 1 in 2. So for us, we tend to develop high blood pressure more often than any other racial background in the United States. We can't change that. All right. So it has also been shown, and I want to make sure that I share this and put this out there, but it also shows that some medications, the second thing that is usually recommended, the lifestyle change is the first, medication is the second. However, it says some medications are less effective in treating high blood pressure in African Americans. So if I have to accept the things that I cannot change my race, and I understand that puts me at more of a risk for potentially developing high blood pressure. Then on top of that, knowing that some medications are just not going to be effective or as effective in controlling and managing it, why would I not look to a lifestyle change? Well, speaking of changes, let's look at the second part of that prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can. I'm calling on you to pull from a courage. And for us here at the tab, we know where that courage that we pull from lies. All right, so modifiable risk factors, that's simply saying these are some things that you can do something about. So what can we change? Well, these risk factors are putting us at an increased likelihood for developing high blood pressure. So lack of physical activity, that's going to increase our chances. An unhealthy diet, especially one that is high in this stuff right here. Oh, don't worry, we've got some health lessons that'll be coming in the months ahead so that we can discuss that as well. Drinking too much alcohol, that is a risk factor and something that we can do something about. High cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, and tobacco use. Allow me to insert smoking, vaping, tobacco use. I like to cover all of the gamut, all right? And stress. These things are in our control. So, what do we do now? Aaliyah mentioned it in her greeting. So, we're coming together so that we can gain knowledge, reduce risk, and be empowered, not just ourselves, but also empower others. So, let's look at some of the information on this slide. All right, so we can manage this by doing these simple things. Now, while you're reviewing the slides, because I've done a lot of reading and talking, I want you to be able to review this information. When I see this slide, the banner at the bottom speaks out very loudly to me, because the Tabernacle, the health and wellness ministry, started a practice last year, and we began employing the hashtag OST, and that stands for one small thing, because we realized that, one small thing done over and over, one small thing can create such big results. And when I look at this slide, I simply see our OST methodology in action. One small thing. You've got a list, 2 columns. 1 or 2 of these things, these small steps, can bring about big change. All right? So we're supposed to be empowered. So what is it that we're going to do? Well, first and foremost, if you've been prescribed, we're going to take the medicine. Okay? All right? Partnering with your healthcare provider is the best way to reach your treatment goals and enjoy the benefits of a better health. I agree with that statement. Now, if you fall or you find yourself, if perhaps you have not been on top of routine visits, but you take a reading at home, like on one of the monitors that I've seen or I've shown, and you're consistently at that 130/80 or higher, and you are seen by a healthcare professional. All right, so it's typical that you fall in the category where medications would be prescribed. If this is you, I need you to take the medication as prescribed. Well, what else are we going to do? We're going to monitor our blood pressure at home. If you have high blood pressure, all right, I'm not talking to those in that normal range, because we're going to make sure that they're on the path of prevention. So they're making sure at a bare minimum that they're getting checked at least once a year. But for those that have been diagnosed with high blood pressure, okay, it can help you if you actively employ that home monitoring, because that can help your healthcare provider determine whether what you're doing is working or not. All right, so begin taking your blood pressure at home, track it, monitor it. Well, what else? We're going to work with those healthcare providers, and say it with me, I'm in the red section. Making lifestyle changes. If we do that, if you do that, then you can control your blood pressure. It's something that can be done. It's something that we have the power to do. Here's our call to action. Every lesson that we present, we're going to go through the information, we're going to gain the knowledge because we're working on reducing the risk. We're going to empower ourselves and others, and we're going to always close with the call to action that we can hold to and carry out throughout the weeks to come. What can we do? At this point, I am going to ask that, since I've already mentioned OST, so you know that stands for one small thing. At this time, I need you to go ahead, and I don't care if you're on the Facebook or the YouTube platform, I need you to tag 5 people, this many. I need you to tag 5 people that you want to partner with and you want to partner with you. What we're going to do is ask 5 friends to join you in taking one step to better blood pressure control. Well, what can we do? Well, we've got a few items listed. Allow me to read them to you. Lower your sodium intake. That's meaning reduce your intake, the consumption of the salty foods that you eat. Get active, all right? Increase your physical activity. If you're an alcohol drinker, cut back. Drink in moderation. Reduce the weight. If your healthcare provider has had the discussion with you, if the numbers are indicating overweight or obese, understand that reducing the weight, actively taking steps to reducing the weight, can help you control that blood pressure. And then lastly, eat better. 5 friends, 5 people that are willing to partner with you. Hey, I need y'all to kind of, let's buddy up at lunchtime. Y'all know I love those Miss Vicky's chips, but this week I ain't gonna do no Miss Vicky's. I need you there for moral support. Something as simple as that. That's one small thing. So as you're tagging those 5 people, I want you to begin thinking about all that we were able to discuss on this evening. While you're doing that, since our information has been completed, I am going to need you to now get ready, get prepped for that post survey. Let me go ahead and put it up on the screen now. So what I need you to do is, yet again, take out that phone. I need you to scan that QR code. It is going to take you to the post survey link. Again, just one quick minute. So as you're taking the opportunity to either scan the code or take note of that survey link and access it through your browser, I want to encourage you. This is a time of empowerment. After every health lesson, we should be empowered. And what we are endeavoring to do after we conclude these sessions, we're focusing on these principles for the entire month. So what's going to happen in the TAB Health and Wellness Ministry Facebook page, we're going to put information up so that we can help you, so that we can support you in making these changes. So if you fall in that category to where you're like, look, I'm going to try to reduce this, we've got a community there to support you. We're going to partner with you. Well, maybe you've fallen off. You're not as consistent as you could be in monitoring your blood pressure. Well, we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to help you do what you need to do. Maybe it's eating healthy. Well, the last item that I held up when we did our scavenger hunt was this bottle of water. Hydration matters. This is something that you can do, one small thing, because if you're dehydrated, then the chances are your blood pressure numbers are going to trend up, because when we're dehydrated, your body is holding on to that sodium. All right. So I promise you, there are little things that we can do together so that we can control our pressure. So listen, thank you so much for joining us on this evening. Another takeaway is simply this: we are empowered to serve. We're empowered to serve our health, and we're empowered to serve our communities. Again, I am so grateful to the American Heart Association and Amgen Cardiology for partnering with the TAB Health and Wellness Ministries so that we can present to you these American Heart Association Empowered to Serve health lessons. I am going to go ahead and officially say thank you so much. Thank you so much for investing in your health and helping us to create a culture of health. I hope that you have an amazing evening. Stay tuned. We will have new information in our Facebook group on tomorrow. We will go over the answers to those surveys that you have so graciously taken. But I am excited for what is in store for you and your health in 2022. We'll be chatting in the other communities, and I look forward to seeing you next month for our next health lesson. Thanks, y'all.